Well, welcome once again to Worldview TV Talk Show. Today we have our special guest who is returning today, Mr. A. Curtis Farrow. And I just want to share a little bit more about his biography. He is our man of honor. And for those of you who do know that this show is Women of Honor. So, Curtis, you didn't know this, but this show, Men of Honor, was created in honor of you.
Oh my
And
God.
so you were my first male guest on
Wow.
this show.
I feel honored. That is amazing. Thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome. And the title of this is Men of Integrity. So for our listening audience, I just want to read some of his bio. And I just want you to know I'm overjoyed and, of course, humbled by this great, phenomenal, one-of-a-kind Mr. A. Curtis Farrow. With us again, he is truly a legend. Usually, my show, which I just said, is geared towards women of honor, but we believe that the Lord has created this segment. And of course, you are our honored guest. His name, one of the most influential men of the gospel music history. He has won 2 Emmy Awards, 12 consecutive Emmy Award nominations. He is a director, producer, entrepreneur, artist, our true Renaissance man. Mr. Farrow brought his directing and producing talents to McDonald's Gospel Fest, still the most successful and well-attended gospel event ever spanning the globe. Wow. Mr. Farrow has worked with Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, as well as Donnie McClurkin, Kirk Franklin, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Steve Harvey, James Earl Jones, Vicki Winans, just to name a few. In addition, he is the board member of RMHC, and he sees to the allocation of funds to worthy causes throughout the community. As former minister of music for the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey, he was responsible for the organization, planning, and execution of the homegoing services for the late Whitney Houston and legendary late Aretha Franklin. He also holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest choir of 1,000, 3,000, and he's also created a 5,000 choir. Mr. Farrow credits everything in his life to his strong belief in God and his motto, which I have adopted: God is the great creator, and he has created us in his image.
Amen.
And as little creators, we should always be creating. I bring to you this day Mr. A. Curtis Farrow. Welcome
Wow.
to the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bird. Oh my God. Who is that? You're going through all of that, and I'm looking and I'm saying, like, who did all of that?
And much more.
Life goes so quickly,
Yes, it does.
I mean, when you're going through that, and I truly, and being here in Staten Island, where I went to school and where I met so many of my good friends, my first entree into New York City. And I'm sitting here, and as you're reading through this, and actually I'm getting a little sentimental because I'm like, wow, did I do all of that? It's a blessing, and it really is an honor. I know you said today's show is Man of Honor, but I honor you.
Oh, God
You are
bless you.
truly, I just said to you, I don't know how you do it because I see you everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And you are so good. And I told the gentleman out there, you have such a good heart.
Thank you
And
so
I
much.
hope that your listeners and that everyone who's watching, I hope that you understand and please support this young lady because she has such a good heart, and I appreciate that. And thank you so much for inviting me here.
It's always an honor to see you. I just it's so homey and right. Sometimes we talk about spirit bearing witness to spirit.
Yes.
And certain spirits just connect.
Yes.
And you just have that connectivity that I don't care what genre you in, you connect. And I love that about
Well,
you.
we connected, and I love telling everyone, I'm really big on the spirit of discernment.
Yes.
I know a lot of folks don't understand that.
I do.
But the spirit of discernment is real.
Yes.
And it's important.
Yes.
And it's important that we understand that God blessed us with that spirit of discernment. And I just remember the first time meeting you when we were at a minister's Alliance.
That's where we
We were
went.
at a Ministers Alliance, and you know it's wild. I feel like you've been my friend forever. I feel like I've known you forever.
Kindred spirit.
Yes,
That's what it
yes,
is.
yes. So that spirit of discernment, like, okay, this person, this is a good-hearted person. This person has got my back. I got this person's back. We
Absolutely.
are now friends, and we've moved forward that way. And
Yes.
so, even though we don't talk every day, but when we see each other at the event, it's almost like we saw each other and talked yesterday. It's like, oh my
Yesterday.
God, Dr. Bird, hey, how are you?
It's
So,
great.
thank you so much. This is such an honor for me to come and to be here on your show.
Oh,
You're doing such a marvelous job,
thank you so
and
much.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Amen. Okay, you just returned from London.
Oh
Talk.
my
You want to
God.
talk to us about that? What was that
Yes.
adventure? Because I know you're always on adventure. You're always creating.
Yes,
And you always
always.
have new ideas and things going
Always.
on.
Yeah, so I was just in London and just returned. We are doing an event in South Africa.
Okay.
And so I'm traveling all over the world, getting people excited to come to South Africa. We're going to honor the great Nelson Mandela.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and we're going to honor him in 2025
Okay.
in July in South Africa. We're going to honor him, and I am putting together a 7,000 voice all male chorus.
Only Curtis Farrow. Only you.
You know, pray for me. Because
Yes.
I will tell you that I kept saying to everyone, I was like, you know what? We were supposed to do this before COVID.
Okay.
And the same year that COVID broke was the year we were going to do it. We had people registered from all over the world. So it's almost like starting all over again.
Yes.
And I kept saying, oh, you know what? This is going to be easier because, it's going to be all men. So, men are very different than women. You know what I mean? So I said, oh, it's not going to be a problem. You just give a man a room and you don't have to worry about him telling him to be at the rehearsal. The men are the men are becoming more complicated than I thought they were. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about it. God has blessed it in my spirit
Yes.
that we need to do this and that we honor one of his servants,
Yes.
the great Nelson Mandela. So I've been traveling around the world doing that, and also we're also doing a resurgent conference which is happening this July.
Oh, okay.
And we're doing we want 60 voices to come from the U.S.,
Okay.
and we're going to mix voices from all over the continent of Africa,
Okay.
and 60 voices from here. That's just July coming. And they have to pay for their own airfare, but we pay for their hotel, their food,
Okay.
and they get taken care of, their touring, all of that. So it's a great opportunity, and so we're excited about that. So there's something always going on,
I
Dr.
know.
Always
Always
something.
creating.
Yes,
Always
always
creating.
creating because you said my motto,
Yes.
and that is truly my motto. We love saying that we're made in God's image.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We love
Absolutely.
saying that we are made in God's image. God is the great creator. We're little creators, and we should always be creating.
Always be creating.
Always.
And I adopted your model, and
I know, I love it.
I try to live by it as well. So last year when you were here, I was talking to you about launching Helping Hands Community Outreach.
Yes.
So
How's that going?
It's going well. We're coming up on 1 year.
Oh,
June
wow.
17th will be 1 year. And so for that celebration, we're having a trauma-informed care event at Essex County College on June the 12th.
Wow.
And so that's
And now
coming.
that's going to be on June the 12th
That's going to be on June the 12th
at Essex County
Essex County College.
in
The all
Newark.
Yes, in Newark, New Jersey, the all-purpose room.
Okay.
We were blessed. Dr. Mamie Brindforth
Yes.
and Professor Jenkins worked with me with getting that all-purpose room. And so we have different people coming on the panel. One hasn't confirmed yet, but
Right.
she will confirm after she
And now,
finishes
and
getting-
what is the subject matter?
The subject is trauma-informed care.
Oh, very nice.
What you know, in Newark, New Jersey, we have a lot of resources
Yes.
in reference to mental disorders
Yes.
and just different things,
Yes.
anxiety, all
Yes.
types of things. But then when you talk about trauma has so many categories.
Right.
So I have someone that will be speaking on domestic violence in trauma. Then we have someone speaking on with women and some men deal with when they come back into society after spending many years incarcerated.
Wow.
How do they get reacclimated back into the community?
Wow.
And we have someone speaking on that, and then we have someone speaking about the children that suffer the trauma
Oh, wow.
because of their family being incarcerated or because of domestic violence. So it's 3 tier, but it's different types of trauma.
Right.
And it'll be different ones there that will be able to give resources and information on how they can be reached.
Right.
So that's another subject. But
And now, no, I love it. Let's stay here because this is so great. It's so important and it's so
Yes,
needed
it's so
because
needed.
trauma is that, it's sort of that level of care that's
Yes.
needed that people don't understand that's missed
Right.
in our community,
in our
especially.
community, especially
Yes,
what
it's-
stays in what's done in my house stays in my house.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
how many of us was raised.
Yes, we were raised
And
like that.
so going to therapists and different things like that, really the reality of it wasn't just not part of our culture.
Right.
But I believe in a therapist and going
Right.
to a therapist and
Yes,
counseling and stuff. But those
absolutely.
things are so needed
Yes.
sometimes that you need to just talk to someone that's outside of your circle.
Correct.
And it's
You know,
very important.
people don't understand. So I had the opportunity to spend time with a therapist. I was on the George Washington Bridge,
Oh.
and a truck hit me. We were stopped for construction, and I could see through the mirror the truck coming, and he was not going to stop.
Oh, Lord.
But there was nowhere for him to go because we all had been stopped. And I could see him coming and coming and coming. And he hit me right on. I was scared from that point on to get in the car. I kept feeling like, and in all things, I kept feeling like somebody was going to hit me from the back. And I was like, oh my God, I need therapy.
Yeah, that fear.
That
is
fear.
something,
Yeah, I
yes.
need therapy. And and I know people, especially those of us who are good, loving, God-loving people, we always say, go to prayer. And yes, prayer is the biggest piece of it.
Absolutely.
But you also need to talk about it.
That's right.
And you need somebody who's professional at talking about it. And I'm not talking about, sometimes it's your best friend, sometimes it's your sister, sometimes it's your brother, but it's also good to talk with somebody who has there's nothing to do with you.
Absolutely.
It's just the ability to just talk and hear back from somebody, another voice that has nothing to do with A. Curtis Farrell, or that has nothing to do with Dr. Bird. It is so important. And can I tell you, I only went 3 times. By the 3rd time, because I got to get so much out, we got to get to what was really going on. Was it really the truck? You know what I mean?
What was behind that?
That was coming behind. And I want to share this with everybody.
Sure.
I have never shared this before.
Wow, okay.
I kept thinking it was fear of the truck coming behind. And the therapist kept saying, well, your eyes normally are in the front, and when you're still, your eyes are normally in the front looking at the cars that are in front of you. Why were you consistently looking back?
Okay.
And we come to find out I was so concerned about, not even in my life, I was concerned about what was behind me than what was in front of me. So I was spending a lot of time going back saying, okay, we did this, I did this wrong, I did this. And she's like, you have to release that. That is gone. And nobody ever said that to me. I don't even know if anybody would have ever said that to me.
That's why it clicked.
That's why it clicked. And that's why it clicked. And that's why it needed to be somebody who wasn't in my vortex.
That's right.
Who wasn't in my circle.
Absolutely.
Who wasn't in God's kingdom, this part of God's kingdom. I needed that. So I highly tell people all the time, having therapy, it's a good thing.
It's great. When you were saying that, I thought about what Paul says, forgetting those things behind us, I press forward.
Press forward.
To the upward mark of
yes,
the call of
pressing,
God.
That song, pressing up to the upward
Absolutely.
way.
Pressing forward.
Yes.
Since then, we also launched Celebrate Recovery and Redemption.
Wow.
Which is a program that helps us deal with hurts, habits, and hang-ups.
Yes.
And what you're talking about just hit it right in home because once you get to the root of it, I always talk about if you kill the root, the fruit will die.
Yes.
And many times on that tree, you have the anxiety, you have the fear, you have the alcohol disorder, you have
Right.
the drug disorder, you have the anger, the
Right.
unforgiveness, and all those things, that fruit that grows on that tree.
Right.
But that fruit is growing from a root.
Yes.
And if you can dig out the root, yours was looking behind you.
Right.
Once you found the root,
Yes.
that fruit on that tree, the fear and
Yes.
getting in the car and all that
Yes.
fruit died.
Yes.
And when the fruit died, then the habit automatically dies.
That's correct.
And so that's what we do with Celebrate Recovery and Redemption. We have a confidential setting. Confidentiality and anonymity is crucial.
Right.
Because people have to have the freedom to come in and share their stuff and still be respected in the morning.
Well, I love it. I'm 100% behind. That date again is June.
This one is for Drama Informed Care is June 12th.
June
It's going
12th.
to be at Essex County College in Newark in the all-purpose room.
And now here's what I would love to say. Your organization, though, is the name of the organization that you started.
Helping Hands.
Helping
Community
Hands.
Outreach.
Yeah, I don't know
Incorporated.
that I can make it, but they say put your money where your mouth is. I will. You'll talk with Maddie.
Okay.
I will definitely donate $500 toward that
Thank you.
event. Hopefully that'll make the event.
It sure will.
It will make the event go a little smoother.
Absolutely.
And so if you just reach out to Maddie, he'll make sure those funds get to you. But
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Bird, I've learned that we got to get back in the business of supporting one another.
Absolutely.
My good friend, and I think you know him, the Reverend great Dr. Dennis Dillon, who's over at the Christian Times.
Okay.
And I'm going to share with everybody, when you produce the McDonald's Gospel Fest and you produce all of these things, people look at you and they think, oh, you got a lot of money, and they think you're cute.
I had to put that in there.
I had to put that in there. No, but they think you know what I'm saying. And I have to tell you, during and producing Broadway shows and tours, and people don't understand that my life is events.
Yeah.
My life is creating events and creating. And during COVID, everything shut down.
Yes,
I know everybody had a hard time, but for us, everything went away.
Wow.
No, everything went away. And I love telling everybody, this is how you know someone is truly your friend and thinking about you.
Oh, yeah.
After a year of us going through COVID, we were okay, but I got a call from Reverend Dennis Dillon, who's the publisher of the Christian Times. Okay. And you know what, Dr. Bird? He just called me. He didn't even ask me how I was doing. We talk all the time because we're great friends. But he called me and said, I want to Cash App or Zelle you some money to help you with whatever's going on right now. And I'm sitting there going like, excuse me? Like nobody does that for me.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like through this all, I heard from nobody. Nobody through COVID. No, not one person.
Wow.
And he called and I have to tell you that just that moment
It's impactful.
impacted me. And I said, you know what? I'm always telling everybody we got to get back in the business of supporting one another.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do.
Absolutely.
And that's why even though you invited me here, I have to support you.
You're blessing me. Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? I have to
Sure.
support you.
Sure.
We have to support each other. And when I look back and I think about my grandmother and her, when I think about my grandmother and her community of her friends,
That's what they did.
they supported each other.
That's what they did.
They literally supported, whether it was food, whether even their gardens. I think back now, and I said to somebody, I said, you know what's funny? I remember when they all grew their gardens, if they had too many beans, string beans, they would call each other and say,
that's right.
girl, come down here and get some of these green beans. I got
That's
too
right.
many.
Or tomatoes.
Or
whatever.
tomatoes,
That's right.
yes.
That's right.
But they
That's right.
all supported each other. And what I think for us here, and those of you who are listening, it's important that we get back in the business of supporting one another.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
It's so
It's
important.
vital.
It is. It is. To encourage one another.
Yes.
I was getting ready to ask you that question too. You are such a giver and a servant by heart. and we know it's God.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that God says that He gives seed to the sower.
Mm-hmm.
But you have created so many phenomenal Broadway shows, and you
Mm-hmm.
did so many things. And we're going to talk about the Gospel Fest revival. Praise God.
Yes, a
Um,
revival.
but are you thinking or planning or writing any more Broadway plays?
Well, what we are doing is that we are getting ready to do next year. We're getting ready to bring Arms Too Short to Box with God
Oh,
back. The problem is, I don't necessarily want it to be on Broadway.
okay.
One of the things that we have found is that the churches themselves have become buildings that are basically standing. The one thing COVID allowed us to all
Oh,
see,
yeah.
that it's just a building.
That's right. That's right.
That the church, right,
That's right.
is here.
That's right. It's here.
We all got a chance to experience where the real church
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
And that building is a building.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're really thinking about doing is we're thinking about bringing it back and touring different churches throughout the tri-state.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's really kind of that's the plan right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main show that we're going to be working on next year. And then hopefully next year when I come, there's one other thing that I'm working on. I'm not ready to make the announcement yet.
Okay.
But hopefully I can come back next year. Yeah, I can come back next year and I'll make some big news.
Okay.
Because I have something else in the work that I've done that it's all goes with keep creating, keep creating.
Yes.
I've done something that is, most people would say, including my mother and my father and my sister and my brother, they're all like, "You're doing what?"
But
so
you always think outside the box.
yes,
That's
I'm way outside the
you
box.
always think outside the
Yeah,
box.
so I'm excited about that. But yeah, so we're trying to bring Arms Too Short to Box with God back for this generation.
That
So
would be
this
great.
generation can experience what all the other generations experience, with Arms Too Short to Box with God being, at that time, the most successful Black musical ever
Yes.
on Broadway.
And that was the first one as a
Yes.
child that I
Yes,
saw.
yes, Carolyn.
Your
Yes.
arms too
Yes.
short to box with God. I
Yes.
remember it was a school bus ride.
Oh wow.
And they piled all of us up on the
Right.
bus and took us. That was the very first show that I've ever seen.
Yes.
It'd be an honor just for me to see it again,
Yes.
and also for my granddaughter to see it. My
Yes,
granddaughter.
it would
So
be
I'm
great.
looking
And to
forward
pay
that.
tribute to Alex Bradford,
Yes,
for Nat
yes, yes.
Carroll, and that team who were wonderful. Mickey Grant,
Yes.
all of those wonderful, wonderful soldiers of God. And I tell people all the time, I said, Alex Bradford was from Newark.
Okay.
And, when you think about just his body of music, it's amazing.
Yes, very
Yeah.
creative, very
Yeah,
creative.
so I'm excited about that.
Okay, so you've done so much. You've traveled all over the world. You've done so many things. What was your biggest dream that you were able to accomplish? And what is your next biggest dream that you want to accomplish?
Wow. Okay, can I give you a two-parter there?
You sure can.
There are several, but I will say my biggest dream while being in New York City was when I became the producer of McDonald's Gospel Fest. I had one person in mind who I wanted on the Gospel Fest. She hadn't done gospel music in 30 years, but she had the number one gospel album for 25 years.
Okay.
The Amazing Grace album. That's the great Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
And I remember I was like, I gotta get Aretha Franklin. I want Aretha Franklin. You know what I'm saying? I prayed on it. I wanted Aretha. And I called her manager, and her manager said, I'm not sure. She goes, but I'll talk with Miss Franklin, and we'll see, and I'll give you a call back. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, I did it. But sometimes it's not even about doing the actual thing that you want to do, but it's making that start. And then you're like, okay, I did it. I'm moving on now. That's kind of where I was.
Yes.
Like, okay, I made the
reached
call.
out,
I
yes.
reached out. I'm moving on. I would say within like 5 to 10 minutes, my phone rings.
Okay.
I pick up the phone and I say, hello. And she goes, is this Mr. Farrow? And I was like, yes. I was like, this is Miss Franklin. All
right.
And I was like, ah! I Franklin, I love you. I adore you. You're the best. I mean, I was just full of all of the wonderful, wonderful words that you could say.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was laughing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, Miss Franklin, one second, let me calm down. I was
I
like,
gotta
I
breathe a
cannot
moment.
believe this is, and then she says, so what are you thinking? That's what she said to me.
Ah,
Not what do you want?
what are you thinking?
So what are you thinking?
Okay.
And I said, well, I'm producing the McDonald's Gospel Fest. I said, and if you would agree to do the McDonald's Gospel Fest, I'm going to do 3 nights at Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
And I would love for you to be the star and to come back. And I said to her, I said, I don't want you to do Respect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to do any of Pink Cadillac.
No,
I don't want you to do any of your hits
that's right.
that are your popular hits. I want you to come back and be the church girl that we all know
right.
you are.
All right. All right.
And she's like, I want to do that.
Good. Good.
And so then she says, I'm going to send you something. I'm going to fax you something. Give me your fax number. People, hopefully, if there's any young people listening, they probably don't even know what a fax machine is. So, and within 30 minutes, she faxed me a little thing saying, I'm in. It's a little note. I'm in. Let's do it. Here's what, and we agreed upon the money. Here's what the money is. And guess what? From that point on, her lawyers called and our lawyers called, and they put together a contract. But I have to tell you, neither she nor I ever even paid any attention to that contract because she became my sister.
You connected.
We connected, and she became my sister. And from that point forward, not only did she come and where we sold out like the most that we've ever been sold out, ever, except for the next time she came and did it for me.
Okay.
But people don't realize she did those shows, sold out, people went crazy. She did none of those hits. She only did songs from the Amazing Grace album.
Gospel, thank you.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
Yes,
She's she's a daughter, a preacher's daughter,
That's right.
and she got to just be herself, and it was absolutely amazing. And we built such a great relationship. And she would call me, Aretha would call me sometimes at 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning, but she would call me just with an idea because she was a creator.
Yes.
And she would call me and say, what do you think about this idea? See that word? What do you think about this? What do you think? And, I said that in the beginning because I want people to understand that we should always be creating. But I like the fact that she always said to me, what are you thinking?
What are you thinking? Because a lot of times we think things, Curtis, and we don't implement them.
Correct.
And so you can think things and write them down and do drafts and
Right.
everything, but they don't become alive until you actually put them in action.
Correct.
And that's what was going on with me with Helping Hands Community Outreach.
Right.
I had been thinking about this ministry over 20 years.
Wow.
And had wrote down some things that I knew the Lord had given me, but I knew it was not the right timing.
Right.
And sometimes we want to do things, we have an idea and we want to run with it.
Right.
And you always talk about, waiting. You always talk about the importance of the discernment. You always talk about timing.
Right.
And so last year was the timing. And God launched it, and it's been doing well ever since.
That's
and
a
it's
blessing.
because of that. And so
That is a blessing.
I thank you for
there's
that.
always a time.
Always
There's
a time.
always a time
I wanna
and
get back-
place, really. There really is.
I want to ask you this question. You have so many ideas and creativity coming out of you. I mean, it runs out of you like a water fountain. And I know it's because you spend a lot of time in God's presence. Can you talk to our audience about how important prayer, being still,
God.
and listening
Oh my God.
is so important, even when you have an idea?
Oh my God. Listen, if you want to know anything about me and anybody who knows me, you got to know this. No matter what else I say here today on this program, the power of prayer is the biggest force in my life. My connection to my God is the most important force in my life. I am all about prayer. And when I tell you I'm all about prayer, every morning, my friends who know me, I'm in prayer. And you know what? Not only am I in prayer, but when I'm in prayer, I love Dr. Bird. But if Dr. Bird calls me,
Don't answer.
I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm having a conversation with God, or I'm having an experience with God. Or I say to people all the time, sometimes you just need to be in prayer and just meditate and let God put some love on you.
That's right. That's true.
Sometimes we're moving about so much and we got so much we're saying. I see some people and they're just praying and they're yelling and I'm like, can you just let God love you? You asking for God's love, let him love you. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
Let him just love you for a minute. So the power of prayer, oh my God. Without prayer, I'm nothing. Without prayer, I don't know anybody who's anything without prayer if you're serving the God that I serve and the God that I love.
Amen.
Prayer is so important. My friend Shay Maltsby puts it this way. She's a meditator and she's also a prayer warrior. And she says to me all the time, she says, when you take prayer and you take meditation and you combine them, you make God dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. When she said that, I was like, oh, I'm taking that. Just like you
Absolutely.
took my creative.
That's
I said,
right.
I'm taking that.
Because it works.
Prayer and meditation, it makes God dynamite. And that's
Amen.
good. That's good explosive
Yes.
energy and
TNT.
God. Yes,
Yes.
that you want. So, yes, the power of prayer, it's important. It's
Absolutely.
important. Learn how to pray, learn to pray, and make it a part of your daily life.
There you go.
And once you make it a part of your daily life, you will see things change, not only within you, around you, and you will see situations change. And I'm not saying that you're going to see money come. You could. But that's not what I'm
That's
talking
not
about.
it.
I'm talking about your life change
Yes,
and
Lord.
how you feel about life, how you feel about yourself. It will change just through the power of prayer.
Absolutely.
So I'm big on that.
I am too.
Number one, prayer.
And I know that. And I
Yeah.
know you pray for hours.
I do. I
You
pray
know.
for hours. But you know what? I used to go around and tell everybody I pray for hours, and you know that. And then I have to tell you about last year when I was doing the church tour, I was saying that, and then I got off the pulpit, and I felt like, you know what? Are you telling people that because you're bragging? Or why are you telling people that?
That's the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I love him.
Yes. So I backed off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the folks that really know me, you know what I'm saying? Like,
We know that.
I'm in morning prayer. When I'm in prayer, I'm in prayer.
Absolutely.
And I'm not leaving prayer until I'm finished, whether it's from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. But I don't go around. I used to throw that out there. I don't know why. But I know that it's not what I need to be doing anymore.
Right.
Just people know that I pray.
Right.
That the power of prayer is real.
And that's so important. That's so important. I wanted you to say
And
that.
it's personal. I'm sorry.
No,
that was the other
no.
thing.
Go
I
ahead.
felt like it's so much my personal connection with God. That's my personal time with God. That, like, why is it important for me to let people know I'm praying every day from 6 to what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's your personal thing. And it may be different for somebody else.
Right.
Somebody else may pray 7 times a day. Somebody else may pray 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Somebody else may pray once. That's not what's important. What's important is the power of prayer and the communication and the direct communication with God.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted you to say that, because I know you love young people.
I love young people.
And you work
oh my
with young
God.
people, you
I
give them
love 'em.
jobs, you train them.
I do.
You all of these things. And so I want the young people that's listening, as well as all of us, to understand that there's a system in which, when you see all of these great things that leaders are doing, a lot of time they are people of prayer. Because God is the great creator.
That's correct.
And all of creation and all of the creativity that comes out of his people comes from his heart. Correct. And so you're right, prayer and the meditation part of just sitting sometimes, being still, knowing that he's God, and just listening to, okay, he gives you the idea, okay, Lord, how do I implement this? Who do I reach out to? Who is the
Yes.
people that's connected to this? I may have a
Yes.
plethora of friends, but everybody is not connected to this project. And
Yes.
so we need that direction. And
Yes.
so I know you do this. I
Yes.
know this is something that you do.
Yes.
And I know you don't do it to brag. You do it
Yeah.
because this is who A.
That's
Curtis
my
Farrell
life.
is.
That's correct.
Prayer has always been a part of your life.
Always.
Communing with God. And look at the results.
Yes.
This is what I want them to know, how important it is to pray.
Yes.
And to call out to the Lord above. I
Absolutely.
love that about
I
you.
call upon his name often.
Absolutely.
You know, and I call upon his help often.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And it's the one, let me just put it this way, it's prayer is the one entity, if you want to call it an entity. It's the one purpose, because it's a purposeful prayer.
Yes.
You know, but it's the one purpose in my life that it sustains me.
Oh, yes. Oh,
It's
yes.
the one thing that I can say sustains me.
Yes.
I can't say any individual.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I can't say any particular work. I hear people say that all the time. Oh, my husband sustains me. My wife sustains me. I hear people say, oh, my work sustains
My
me.
Lord Jesus.
No,
Oh,
no, no, no.
it's
For
you.
me,
Yes.
prayer and God sustains me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the last time you was here, we talked about creative pain.
Mm.
And I asked you, what was your creative pain? So today I want you to speak to our audience, or how did you overcome your creative pain? And the reason for that is I know that young people are listening, and I want them to realize that hard work and consistency are a part of the process of paying your dues. Creative pain puts a demand on our creativity. It inspires us to unlock generational blessings and break generational curses. And so a lot of time I find with a lot of our young people, they want things to happen in a hurry.
Immediate. They want immediate
instantaneous.
success,
Right.
immediate results.
Right. And so I want them to understand that as prayer is a part of your life, hard work and consistency and not taking no for an answer is all a part of the process. Would you speak to that?
Yes. So your initial question is
In reference to, we asked you last time, what is your creative pain? This
Right.
time we're asking, how did you overcome your creative pain?
You know, I don't know that I have overcome it.
Okay.
I think it's always a work in progress for me.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is for young people, and I'm speaking directly to young people, you will often see success and what you think success is. You see people on IG, on Facebook, on TikTok, and they have money in their hands and they're throwing money up and saying, come and get it. But to come and get that is not necessarily going to make you happy, and is not necessarily going to make you righteous. And you have to be very careful. And so for me, I would say I'm a work in progress, because I think that God, He smiles on me. And I think that God also challenges me. And that's why I say I'm a work in progress. And I think that everyone should be a work in progress, because I don't think you really make it, or really make it there, until, this is my belief, until God says, well done, good and faithful servant. Until God tells me, well done, good and faithful servant, my pain is still always going to be a part of who I am. It's just that I'm able to go to God and say, hey, I need you. Help me, lead me, guide me, protect me, shield me, favor me. You know, I'm able to keep that connection and to continue to move forward. But I don't know that you necessarily lose it. And here's the important thing.
Excuse me.
I've had more failures in my life than I have had successes. And the reason I have successes is because of those failures. Because I'm able to look back at the pain that I went through all of those failures and I made adjustments.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
And because I made those adjustments and I listened to God and God made me direction, because many of the times I noticed with my failures, this is everybody's got different
Mm-hmm.
failures and the why. But for me, most of the time my failures came from me getting off track.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Instead of staying on the railroad, staying straight, you know what I'm saying, and traveling from A to B, I would get off track because I want to have A, B, C, D, the kids now. I want to have the whole alphabet all of a sudden, all right away,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you find with a lot of the kids now. They want it all right away, and there is no such thing.
Right.
Just listen to me, young people. There is no such thing as instant success. There's no such thing as having everything you want right away. There is no such thing.
No, it's not.
You gotta work. And anything that is worth it and anything that sustains is going to be hard work and it's going to be work that continues. It's not like you work, okay, here, I did it. Okay, I'm done.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't happen like that.
And
So I hope that answers the
it
question.
does answer the questions because with creative pain, what people don't realize and understand, um, creative pain inspires you.
Yes.
And it also teaches us what not to do. Thank you.
Oh,
We
thank
look
you.
at what to do, but it also teaches us what not to do.
Right.
Because in creating, you're going to have times where you lose your focus or you think this might work and it doesn't work or this
Yeah.
might fit and it doesn't fit. And you have to be willing to step back and say, okay, I need to remove that because that's not working.
Correct.
Or I need to tweak that so it can work better.
Correct.
And so the creative pain, I think, none of us wants to go through pain, but it's all a learning process. And as prayers and people that seek God, we
Yes.
know that He helps and leads us and guides us through that.
You know what, Dr. Bird? That is so correct. The other part that I don't know whether I mentioned it or not, the other part that's important for me now is for me to admit
Mm,
the pain.
that's the hardest
That
part.
it wasn't easy. That's hard.
That's the hardest
Because you
part.
want people to see, in my business,
Yes.
it needs to look smooth, it needs to look fluid, it needs to look like anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm. That's because you do it so well.
But you know what I'm saying? That's
Yes.
what it needs to look like.
Right. Right.
So people don't see the pain. If they see the pain,
Right.
I did not do it correct.
Right. And that's what they're going to focus on.
Correct. So, but it's important for me to acknowledge the pain.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so therefore I can acknowledge the pain, which helps me to do a better job
Yes.
of allowing folks to enjoy, whatever I'm doing, whatever project, and for them not to see the pain because they're coming for something different.
But you know what? It's something incredibly special about vulnerability
Mm.
and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that my husband and I, God bless his soul, he's been gone 12 years now. But that was one of the things that we thought was so important when we became leaders in the church was the transparency.
Wow.
Because at that time, many people in our church was looking at leaders as infallible. They didn't
Right.
make mistakes. You're on this
Oh.
pedestal, you're walking on water with Jesus.
Oh my God.
And they don't realize that you have the same pain. You have death in your
Yes.
family.
Yes.
You'll get sick.
Right.
Some of us, you have wayward children. You have,
Right.
it's a
You got to
it's
find
life.
out how you're going to pay the light bills, how you're going to pay the
Absolutely.
gas bill.
Life is going on
Right.
in the lives of the leaders as well. And so that was some of the conversations that we used to have with some of our parishioners that drew them to us. They said, "You're so transparent."
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because the truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's times when, even as leaders, you need people praying for you. You need someone to encourage you and say, "Hey, it's gonna be all right." Especially
Yes.
when you're trying to create and you're trying to do things for God, and you run into those bumps in the road.
Amen.
And you run into that pain. Okay, how
Amen.
can I take this pain and turn it into something good?
Amen.
But in the transparency,
Mm-hmm.
people see, wow, this person is real. This person is being used by God, but they're human.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that they need to pray. They know they need to connect.
Amen.
And you are so great at the connective part. And what I'm happy about, you have taken the greats. You have been all over the world. You
Hmm.
have worked with the
Thank you,
greats.
Jesus.
We talked about that. Whitney
Thank you, God.
Houston, Aretha Franklin, T.D. Jakes, Kirk Franklin. I mean, so many, Donnie McClurkin. I mean,
Hmm.
the names just roll off. But you have been working to bring them back to the community.
Yes.
That is what touched my heart, because sometimes in different communities people can't afford to go to these shows
That's
because they're so
correct.
expensive.
Right.
You have not only brought these great gospel singers back to the community, you have also given a platform for the community to participate with
That's
the
correct.
choirs and the
Right.
different, and you have brought it to a reasonable price.
Right.
Why is that so important to you?
It's so important to me because the work that God has blessed me with, I prayed for it.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed and prayed and prayed and said, God, I want you to give me something that is about you.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed for it. And then it came to me, I almost cursed my blessings.
Mm.
It came to me in a form that I didn't see it coming.
Mm. Very
It
important.
didn't come the way I wanted it to come.
Very
It
important.
didn't come how I thought it was going to come to
Mm-hmm.
me, the McDonald's Gospel Fest.
Oh, okay.
It came to me in a different form. I prayed, but I didn't pray for the McDonald's Gospel Fest.
Okay.
So when it was offered to me, I immediately said no 3 times. I
Mm.
said no, no, no. And then Aunt Rebe, who's Sissy Houston's oldest sister, who was the head of the prayer band
Okay.
at New Hope Baptist Church, she grabbed me by my arm one day out of nowhere and she squeezed me really tight. And I believe she was probably in her 80s then. And she squeezed me really tight. And she said, baby, God is trying to bless you.
Mm.
And when I got back out in my car, and those times I had a cell phone, but there was no answering machine in the cell phone.
Right,
I
right.
had to dial with the cell phone, dial my home number,
And get
and get the
message.
messages
Mhm.
from my
Remember
answer
those phones?
machine. Yes, the kids don't. If young people listening, you don't know nothing about that. We used to have to do multiple things to get a message,
That's right.
and I got the message, and it was Carolyn Jones, and my agent at that time, Stewart, and the McDonald owner operator, Lee Dunham, and they were saying, "Would you please take over the McDonald's Gospel Fest?"
Mm.
And I said, "Yes, I will." And it changed my life, and it was what I had been asking for. But my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather, they always made me do one thing. If you listen to this, if you're raising your child, let me tell you how important Sunday school is.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of churches are getting rid of Sunday school.
Yes, but
That's a big mistake.
say that again.
Don't get rid of Sunday school. That is a big mistake. I tell everybody, I credit everything I do to Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Sunday school, they let me be the secretary of the Sunday school. So I learned how to put things together. They let me do the report. So I learned how to speak in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
They let me be on different teams so I could know how to think quicker and be on my feet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They gave me so much um, experience that by the time I got even in grade school, in high school, and college, I was so far ahead of my counterparts because I already had experience.
Practice make perfect.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So for me, and my grandmother was all about the kids in the neighborhood. My mother, for 30 years, my mother was the person who was at the park in Hatcherville Park in Hatcherville in Michigan. She was the lead, she was the person that every day did all of the kids in the park. People would bring they didn't have to pay for um, babysitting.
Babysit,
They
okay.
would just drop their kids off at the park and she would be there all day
Oh wow.
with the kids. She would feed them lunch. She would take care of them, play games, and that's what her job was for 30 years.
Mm.
And before her, my grandmother, her mom, put together all of the Easter shows, the Christmas shows, everything for young people. She put the great, you know, she did in our community. My grandmother put together a parade
For the children.
for the kids, a youth parade for the kids that we did down our main street. And when I think about it now, I'm like, oh my God, she was so.
All of those seeds,
Yes,
beautiful seeds.
yes, but all of them had to do with young people and giving back and helping young people. So it's in me.
Yes.
It's no way to get out of me. If you let me choose between doing the Grammys and doing something for young people, I'm going to choose the young people every time
Oh, that's so
because
good.
they're so important. Life doesn't go on if we don't help
Pour
with
into
young
them.
people. And I think we as a community have to do a better job because we're so concerned about ourselves now, and the word legacy doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yes, and it's very important.
And it's very important.
Hmm.
And there's so many things. We look at kids now and we look at just this life we have here now, and we look, and so many times we look and go like, how did we get off track?
Right. What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
But what really happened, and I don't mean this in a conservative way,
I
I
know what
mean
you
this in a progressive thought way, that we we stop doing those things
Yes.
that help kids be able to make a decision
Mm-hmm.
right from wrong.
That's right. That's right.
And there's right
Mm-hmm.
and there's wrong.
That's right.
And you're not going to be right all the time.
That's right.
And truthfully, you're not going to be wrong all the time.
Right. But we need to train our children to be able to know the difference.
That's correct. And we don't do that
That's
anymore.
the issue.
That is the issue.
And another thing I think it is the community. We lost the community
Yes.
connectivity. Because I remember even as a child, everybody didn't even have phones. That's when we had the phones on the wall that you had to dial.
Yes. I remember people used to come to our house and borrow the phone.
Right. But if I was around the corner doing something I didn't have no business, by the time I got home, my mother knew because Miss Sadie
Right.
around the block
Right.
got that message. We
Yeah.
cared about our children in
Yes.
the community, which is so important for us to
Yes.
get back to, because now it's like my four and no more. No, it's not about your
Yes.
four and no more. It's
Yes.
about the other children that's in the community
Yes.
that just need sometimes just a hug,
Yes.
just someone to say, you know what, baby, you're going to make it. Just
Right.
encourage them.
Right.
And I know you are big with the children.
Oh, that is my number one. Kids are number one. Children are number one. The youth is number one. That I
Absolutely.
will always do. Even when they call me to come and just be guest teacher, you know what I mean, for a
Yes.
day at schools. I do it all the time because I want to make sure that the opportunity is given,
Yes,
to the young people. And the young people need us.
they do.
They need us to
They-
tell them and to
do.
give them wisdom. They can't get wisdom
No.
if you don't give them wisdom of your life and how you've gotten where you've got and where you're going and especially where you failed,
That's right.
then
That's
they
right.
won't know how to proceed.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They're lost.
That's right.
And I think if we look at this world right now, I mean, there's so many things that are just wrong, but we're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many things that are just wild, and we're like, okay. Just
No structure.
No structure.
We're losing the
We're-
importance.
Yes,
of
yes.
the
We don't
structure.
understand legacy and
Yeah.
what that word means, and we don't understand that. And I'm not even talking about young people. I'm talking about folks who are my generation
supposed to
and the
know.
generation after me. I'm saying that we don't do a good job
Yes.
because we just look and go, oh, look at that. No, no, no. I'm
You
one of those
change
people.
you wanna
yes,
see.
yes. And people always say you shouldn't do that. You're going to be, but you know what? I do. When I see a young person that is acting crazy or acting out of themselves, I usually say, young man, pull up your pants.
But you
And
know,
but I say them nicely.
that's,
and
that's
then,
what it
then,
is. It's the
then,
way you say it.
And then he'll say to me, sir, I said, just pull your pants up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to tell you why I want you to pull your pants up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he'll pull them up. And then he'll look at me. And then I'll say, you see all these people? They all are looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're determining right now by just how you look
That's right.
whether you're good
Or bad.
or bad. That may not be the way that it should be, but that is the way
That's
that
what
it
you're
is.
receiving. That's what you're projecting.
That's what you're projecting.
Perception is so
It's so good. And you know what I find? Most young people, when I talk to them, they get it.
Yeah.
And then they become thankful. And then they go on and they do something great. And they go like, oh my God, Mr. Farrell, you don't know how much you helped me by just pulling me. I had a young lady and she just was angry. But she was angry at everyone. And I just pulled her to the side and I said, baby, do you realize that you're angry at everyone? I said, and I don't understand why you're angry. You're beautiful. You're multi-talented. God has blessed you with so much. You have nothing to be angry about. I said, and you're being angry at other young ladies who don't have what you have. God didn't bless them with the gifts, the talents, the looks, none of what you have. Why are you angry?
Mm.
And the young lady, she looked at me, and you know what I'm so proud of now? She's at Harvard University.
Look at that. Look at that.
She's doing phenomenal, and you
Mm.
would never even know that was the same girl. She's so vibrant and so
Mm.
full of life and
Yes.
so happy. And when I see her, I'm like, what happened?
What are you thinking?
What are you thinking?
Goes back
Right.
to that.
What
What
are
are
you
you thinking?
thinking?
Because her thinking was off.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
But she credits me for taking the time, not that I was rude, but for taking the time. We don't spend time anymore with these
Yes.
young people. But she thanks me for taking the time to teach her
Yes.
and to really say to her, I have a conversation with her about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get back in the business of doing that.
That's so
We really do.
that's so important. I love young people.
Me too.
So now we're coming down to, we'll be winding down soon, and I want
Okay.
you to talk to us about Gospel Fest Revival.
McDonald's Gospel Fest, it's that
Yes.
time. Hallelujah.
I have to tell you, I am so excited.
Oh, good.
This, I mean, every show you do, every gospel show you bring stellar people. It's always a stellar show. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
This year, my daughter Dee Dee and my granddaughter Imani is singing in one of the choirs.
Oh, they
Yes,
are.
voice of
yes.
excellence. So I'm so
Oh, my
excited.
God. They are. Okay.
This is a citywide choir
Oh, yes, that's right.
that
That's right.
Councilwoman Roundtree put
yes,
together.
that's correct.
And so
they're-
they've
they're-
been going
and
to
they're-
the rehearsals. They're excited.
Yeah, I think they're going to be backing up Cortez.
Yes. So I'm so excited. They
Yeah.
opened up for the mayor's address.
Yes, I heard they did a
And,
great
oh,
job.
Yes, the choir, they were excellent. So
Yeah, we're
God
so
bless
excited
them.
about that. See, but those are the things that are, it's those opportunities and those times are so big in the lives of young people.
Yes.
It's important
Yes.
that we have and we make that available. This year's Gospel Festival, I have to tell you, God put it on my heart. Most people know we have always been at Madison Square Garden
Right.
or at the Prudential. Big,
Right.
18,000. People, when I first did it, said I was crazy. You're never going to get that many people. But as you know, God has a whole nother plan.
That's right.
Don't ever let people tell you what God is going to do because they don't know.
That's right.
And so, but God put it on my heart and said, this is all great that you're getting 15,000 people or 18,000 people. I want you to go back to the community this year. So this year we did something totally different. We went back to where we used to be in 1998. Now it's 42 years, it's my 25th year.
Okay.
And so we had our first McDonald's Gospel Fest in Brooklyn,
Okay.
which happened last weekend
Right.
at the Cornerstone Baptist Church. It has not been in a church since 1998.
Okay.
And we had Shirley Caesar, Byron Cage,
Right.
and Dottie Peoples. Oh my God. And we're doing the same thing in the Bronx.
Tonight, yes.
Tonight in the Bronx. But then Mother's Day weekend, we're at the Newark Symphony Hall in Newark, New Jersey. And oh my God, we have Bishop Hezekiah Walker, Vashawn Mitchell, Kalante Gavin. We have so many more. All you have to do is to go to newarksymphony.org or go to Eventbrite, eventbrite.com, or just go to McDonald's Gospel Fest, and all the information will come up where to get tickets and where to go. It is going to be a revival, and that's what this year has been. It's been a revival tour, and we're excited. And that's Saturday, May 11th, Mother's Day weekend. Bring your mom, your dad. It is going to be a magnificent time.
As always, it is so
Thank
great
you.
to have you on the show. I love you. I
great.
love you. I love you. Thank you for the Gospel Fest
you.
revival.
Revival,
I mean, you bring
McDonald's
us
Gospel Fest.
together, and
Yes.
it is a time of worship.
Yes.
And, I mean, it is really, really, really a gospel experience.
Yes.
So I would encourage you to be there, Symphony Hall, at May the 11th,
Mother's
6
Day
p.m.
weekend, 6 p.m.
Mother's Day weekend. Come on and join us. You will have a wonderful time.
Promise.
And also, Curtis brings so many of the children and young people from the community
Yes.
and give them a platform.
Hallelujah.
We thank you so much for this show. Continue to watch Worldview TV show. God bless you and thank you again.